My name is Heidi Campbell. I live at 8020 Marsh Road.
Can't hear you.
I'd like to say something about Dean Transportation. We've been told all along that everything would be the same faces, the same quality of service, the same small town friendliness, that nothing would change. Dean was really quick to put their name and new numbers on buses that don't even belong to them. And yet we received our new bus routes in the mail. How impersonal is this new private company that they don't even send out a welcome? Or tell who the transportation director is, or who anyone should contact if there's a problem? There's not even a phone number on this, nothing at all, no welcome from Dean. Are we just another dot in their expanding corporation? How well are they going to take care of buses that don't even belong to them? Since they are responsible for maintaining our buses. They check the brakes every season on the annual safety and maintenance rotation. This is done every year. The brakes are good for 2 seasons and then they need to be changed on the 3rd season. Our routes are hard on brakes due to the conditions of the dirt roads they have to drive on and frequent stops they make in some areas. 6 of our buses, I was told, are due for brakes on this rotation. Both of our mechanics were moved to custodial positions and have not worked on our buses since June 30th. Normal summer maintenance that is done every year usually takes place over the entire summer to maintain our fleet. Who has been working on these buses all summer since June 30th? I know that until a couple weeks ago, the buses had not been worked on at all. I have heard that we have hired a mechanic, but he hasn't started yet, as his paperwork hasn't gone all the way through yet, although it is expected to with no problems. So are we being charged more for someone from Dean to come and work on these buses after their regular shift? I'm very curious as to the maintenance that has been done on these buses over the course of the summer, and by whom. Brian, you will find an email sent to you during this meeting requesting information on the maintenance done to each of the buses since June 30th. I am also curious as to how we had 22 buses in the December inspection, as I talked to the state inspector today on the phone. But in May of 2013, we only have 19 buses, plus we are selling off 2 more immediately, as Dean says they don't need to keep spare buses here. I keep hearing how we are going to need all these new buses over the next several years, but we seem to be selling them off at an alarming rate. Thank you.
Heidi Campbell?
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I've been thinking, I've had a question in my mind for the last few months, and I'm wondering why Mr. Latos didn't step up as superintendent instead of moving all these people around in our schools. I mean, isn't that like the normal progression of things? When the president dies or something, the vice president steps up. When there's a store that has a manager and he leaves, the assistant manager steps up. Now, I just thought that would maybe make a lot of sense. You know, I mean, was Mr. Latos considered? Was he qualified? Does he not want the job? If so, why is he in the position he's in? Why didn't Mr. Latos take the position of interim superintendent? And we could have hired an administrative assistant that he could train and do all these things. We could save probably a whole bunch of money doing that and eliminating an assistant position. And those are all educational dollars that would go into the school for the children. So that's just my question, and I would like somebody to at least answer it for me.
Mr. Bruton will get back to you.
Thank you very much.
George Harteker?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I'm George Harteker. I live at 5822 Jangle Road. I lived in this community for many years. I moved up here when I was 9. 52 years old. Both board members, probably combined a couple years together. I had more years in this community than we together. All right? When you guys privatized buses, it kind of really upset me. But the reason is why didn't you ask the community what they thought? There was Dorcas Mill, according to Mr. Mill over there, that, you know, here we are now, we're at 4.25, and Andy's talking about maybe going to another 3 something, you know, just like I mentioned here today. You know, there's many schools that didn't have the same problems with transportation, especially when you go up north and everything else, like in the UP. They ask the people to vote on this stuff. Ask them, look, can we get these mills? Can we get this here? They don't take this thing around behind people's backs. People in this town don't know what's going on until they see their taxes and then they pay this here. You know, the whole thing is this is Algonac Community Schools. It belongs to the community. You work for the community. Communicate with the community a little bit more so we know what's going on. You know, it gets to be, you know. I just, you know, it just upsets me and everything else. Now the thing is these iPads for the kids. That's fine, okay? I don't have a computer system at home. Well, how's my daughter gonna get Wi-Fi if I don't have a computer system at home? You know, she's supposed to do this up here. It says, and the notation that she got, there should be no excuse why the kids' schoolwork will be late. Okay, if it's raining outside, she can't get to the library, okay? I've had Heather here, she's helped my daughter out, because you know, some of the stuff I don't understand, and I'm not gonna go get a computer to sit there and, you know, play around. I mean, I just, you know, I've done whatever I could in the past to help my daughter out, and it just, you know, I think right now everything's getting rushed so much on a lot of people, and there's a lot of people out here that don't have that kind of money to be doing that. You know, I got lucky and I got called back to work, but a lot of people are getting laid off again. So, and the only thing is, you know, every time I go anywhere and I mention something, and I'm on Ask Andy, next time I'm talking to somebody, please don't jump up and take your iPhone on out and read off what you got. If you already read it on off, you can say, excuse me, you know, this is what I heard, and this is this here. You know, when you did that there, it shows disrespect to me out in public and everything else, and it just, you know, I get a little ticked off about that. The whole thing is, you know, the time being until everything's all settled and whatever's going on with these recalls that we're doing, that, for now, just, I stay in my corner, you stay in your corner. I appreciate that. All right, thank you.
Stimulus, priority and principal appointments.
Charlotte Stanulus, 315 Edgewater. I have a concern, again, about, we keep mentioning the word that we're going to be transparent, and that there's an effort to be transparent. And some of you may have seen Chris Pierce's letter to the editor in The Voice, where she discussed the fact that there was an announcement made on July 9th in the Port Huron Times-Herald that the Algonac interim principal's appointments were announced. And I will quote, excuse me, I will quote from this Times-Herald article of July 9th. The Algonquin Middle School principal, Abraham Lever, has been named the interim principal. And then it goes on to say, Brooke Lestage, a member of the Algonquin faculty, will fill the role as the school's interim principal. As you can hear from that grammatical and language level, it doesn't say maybe, it doesn't say are expected to be. It says have been named and will fill the role. As a result, Chris Pierce from Harson's Island wrote a letter to the editor in which she questioned the timing of these appointments because they hadn't been approved by the board. They were not approved by the board until the July 22nd meeting. And at that meeting, they weren't discussed. It wasn't discussed how this came about, how these decisions were made, how it was decided that you would disrupt both the middle school and the high school by moving administrators around and moving teachers. There are probably teachers at if I'm, my experience of high school and middle school teachers, I know one for a fact in the middle school who, or at the high school, I should say, who has a certificate that could have qualified to be a school administrator based on their educational experience. So we moved a believer over, and all that aside though, the timing is the element. Because the element was 2 weeks after the Times Herald had this article announcing this, was the action taken in a consent agenda, not in a discussion item, not in a special item on your agenda, but just kind of bulked in, oh yeah, and incidentally. Now my experience also with consent agendas is that they are there to put things like the field trips and the things that don't need a lot of discussion, and that the community maybe doesn't